of 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com. I provide services like digital art, logo designs, packaging designs, web designs, social media flyers, and much more. If you're an entrepreneur with a business or a startup company, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity, getting 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your Tuesday. Is it Tuesday or Monday? What's today? Tuesday. I hope your Tuesday is going well. Do me a favor, hit the like button again. Please hit the like button. The flag backwards, by the way. Which okay, whatever. All right, whatever. Thank you, Mr. E. Thank you, Mr. E. I know exactly what you're talking about. The cover photo. All right. Okay. It's backwards. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Mr. E, for the flag being backwards. I apologize. Come on, man. Let's get the party. Oh, the party started now. We're here. We are here. In fact, let me get the banner going. Guys, don't be afraid. Go ahead and super chat and cash app. Support Black media. Even though we on YouTube. Support Black media even though we on YouTube. Hit the like button. Make sure you share. And make sure you subscribe. Couple of announcements. We are rolling to Sierra Leone. November 21st through December 3rd. We are rolling to Sierra Leone. If you'd like to roll with us, again, if you would like to roll with us to Sierra Leone, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. All right, again, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. We will love to have you all. Again, we will love to have you all. Please visit Danfo.Africa. Citizenship is available to those who qualify. Again, citizenship is available to those who qualify. Love to have you. Even if you're not eligible for citizenship, if you still want to come and enjoy the beautiful country of Sierra Leone, you're more than welcome to join us. We're also going to Benin Republic in January for the Voodoo Festival. That's January 3rd through the 12th. And then Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. That's May 12th to the 22nd. And then we are rolling to Nigeria in August 4th to the 13th for the Oshun Festival. So come and join us. Love to have you all. We're going to have a great time. Look at all these smiling faces with their passports being sworn in. Where's my Sierra Leone passport? Oh, it's upstairs. I got my U.S. passport here, though. I got my U.S. passport right here. My Sierra Leone passport is upstairs. It's packed in my bag already. Why is it packed, Dynast? So I usually travel with all my passports. So, I have my Sierra Leone passport. I have my Nigerian passport. I have my U.S. passport. I usually travel with all of my... No, that's not going to happen. That won't happen. It's not going to happen. So check that out. Let's see here. What else are we doing? Let's see here. That's it. So that's the itinerary so far. We're going to Zanzibar. We leave for Zanzibar next in about a little over a week. We leave for Zanzibar. So yeah, I'll call on what kind of package. Y'all can keep it. Y'all want to come here more than we want to go there. That's not true. I'm always ready 24/7. Where are you getting those numbers from? Well, that's not true. That's not necessarily true. Yeah, that's okay. Whatever. We'll get to that later. But anyways, I want to play this video real quick. Let me pull up this video. And guys, give me your thoughts on this. And I'm gonna go ahead and open up the lines early. Here we go. Save. Here we go. Right here.
Are pouring in from everywhere.
Here we go. This is what I want to play.
At the moment,
They should accept them.
they should just be like, "Oh, come, take our homes, take
They
a
should
job,
accept
take
Africans.
everything."
Because when you guys came in mass to
Mhm.
Africa,
But that was so long ago. I don't,
that
cannot even
was
bring
so
it in
long
now
ago.
anymore.
But your companies are still there looting
Yeah.
Africa.
Perhaps,
Neo-colonialism.
perhaps.
You are still there stealing our resources,
Mm.
using our resources to develop your countries, and you don't want us to come here. You are asking how you guys react when we
Well,
come here.
Example, how are we supposed to react?
Imagine a thief steals your television, your TV, and you go to his house to watch a soccer game. How should the thief react? Exactly. Just be quiet.
Act or react when Africans are pouring in from everywhere at the moment.
They should accept them.
They should just be like, "Oh, come, take our homes, take
They
a
should
job,
accept
take everything."
Africans. Because when you guys came in mass to Africa,
But that was so long ago. I don't,
that
cannot even
was
bring
so
it in
long
now
ago.
anymore.
But your companies are still there looting
Yeah.
Africa.
Perhaps,
Neo-colonialism.
perhaps.
You are still there stealing our resources,
Mm.
using our resources to develop your countries, and you don't want us to come here. You are asking how you guys react when we
Well,
come here.
Example, how are we supposed to react?
Imagine a thief steals your television, your TV, and you go to his house to watch a soccer game. How should the thief react? Exactly. Just be quiet.
Act or
What are your guys' thoughts on what the African brother said? And also, a good friend of mine, he's Ghanaian. He said himself, this is what he said. Let me give your thoughts on this. So, we always talk about, Black Americans in regards to the slave trade and us being ripped away or sold. Some cases both, either ripped away, kidnapped, or even sold and brought to the West. And he made the point that there were also the family members of those who were sold in the transatlantic slave trade were also affected. And that since his family members who were taken and sold and who played a role in building the West, since those were his family members, that he has as much right to America as so-called ADOS FBA, because again, his family, his ancestors were taken from Ghana and brought here to build America. What are your thoughts on that? So listen, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. You're more than welcome to call and add to the conversation. Link is in the chat room. Click on the link. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you can. Do Black immigrants have as much claim to America as ADOS FBA? That's a nice question. I threw a grenade. How did I throw a grenade? I'm just asking. Yeah, it's just a question. Hey, shout out to Taj Mahal. Shout out to Taj Mahal. Guys, make sure you go support Taj Mahal and buy a shirt or some music. Make sure you go to Taj Mahal's site, tajblues.com. Put the link in the chat room, tajblues.com. But guys, links in the chat room if you want to call in and add to the conversation. Please click on the link. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, please click on the link. But again, go to Taj Mahal or tajblues.com and support. Listen, if you FBA, call in. Call in. Go to TajBlues.com. Click on the store. And bam, get you some gear, some music. This is my shirt right here. Idris, go ahead. Idris, unmute yourself. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Press 1 if you can hear me. Okay, Idris dropped off. All right, there's a troll. There is a troll in the back room. Let's see here. It says Dynast is a booty scratcher. Go ahead and turn your camera on so we can see who you are. I only can see the top of your head and your receding hairline, your thinning hairline. That's all I can see. Again, go ahead and turn on the camera. Again, I only see the top of your head, and you got on a hoodie, and your hairline is thinning. Your hair is thinning. Okay. All right, whatever. All right, links in the chat room. If you want to call in, please click on the link, and you are more than welcome to call in. No, we don't. Go ahead, Colin.
What's going on, Dynast? What's going on, brother?
What's good, brother?
Man, this is a topic that's near to my heart, you know. As you know, my wife is supposed to be coming over here soon when I but her embassy thing. It's gonna get pisses me off about all this thing, right? You know how hard it is to get her over here? It's been 2 years, you know? But if I took her across the Mexican border or bring her from Venezuela, she'd be here right now with benefits and everything. You know, I'm doing everything the right way. Look, let me tell you something, right? And a lot of my FBA people, foundational Black American, African Americans, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, right? You know, look, the bottom line is our ancestors for all of us to be here in America, right? In America, if you don't want to take up what's opportune for you in Africa, that's your freaking business, right? So if Africans come over here and they go to our HBCUs, and I welcome that. People are gonna call me a traitor. I don't give a damn. We got so many Liberians that are going to HBCUs and other Africans going to HBCUs and building new connections, building a new future of the Pan African world from a position of power and strength and everything. What am I supposed to be mad at that? So the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. Yes, our ancestors were Africans that were brought here and changed and under duress and everything. So any African descent, the way I see it, has a right to be here in America just on that fact alone. That's the way I see it.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Sha. You got to meet yourself.
Okay, thank you. My mute button was stuck or something. Greetings, Kala and Dynast. Yeah, this subject matter comes up a lot in other social media, conversations, and it is sad and disheartening to hear my brothers and sisters over here's sentiment toward continental Africans, Caribbeans, Black folks that are not from here. So, I think that the problem has to do with how we're relating with, how we're meeting each other, or the lack of meeting each other. Even when I was younger, this was something that wasn't, talked about so much. There wasn't an adversarial relationship per se. It just was, once we met someone from the continent, especially from the continent, and we talked with them, we realized that they had heard this negative information about us through the media, and we had heard negative information about them through the media. And then when we talked, we realized that that information wasn't true. It was just, the media spin, slant, or propaganda. So when I'm hearing the young people talking, I'm getting a lot of that. The people that are coming here, they don't want to associate with us. They would rather, there's a lot of just, and some of it can be true. A lot of I don't know what to say. But some of it can be true. But at the end of the day, as an older person, my position is to try to educate and try to be the big brother, or what I spoke about last night in one of the spaces was Big Mama philosophy, right? Big Mama, how the house had all the kids come, and she would treat all the kids fairly, right? Because they would come to have fun, and she was Big Mama, right? So, and Papa's there too, but Big Mama was the one who was, running things. So that nurturing spirit is the kind of spirit, and a more of an adult spirit is the spirit that we need to have when we deal with our brothers and sisters abroad that are coming here.
Let me say this, Ja, right? You're absolutely right. There's a movie, I've been to martial arts movies, a movie called Challenge of the Ninja, right? It came out decades ago, right? And it was about a Japanese, how to make movies, Romeo and Juliet, different cultures married. It was a Chinese martial arts fighter versus his Japanese martial arts fighter. They get married, right? And they was arguing over whose martial arts was better, right? Japanese this, Chinese this, right here. Anyway, they both went to the uncle, and the uncle took an elderly approach and said, "Look, now both of you, both styles are good. You can learn from this like that." He took even though the uncle was Chinese, he said, "Look, you big quarreling over whose style's better. Learn to work together." In other words, and when they said that movie had a powerful impact on Chinese and Japanese relations, because it basically put the whole bicker between China and Japan as child stuff, right? And the uncle took the role of the adult in the room, right? Look, that's what I try to be. When I hear both sides of the argument between African Americans and continental Africans, both sides, and what I do is, in my stage of time, is I stand back and be like, okay, look, you're right about this, you're right about this, right? But I'm not going to really take sides anymore, because that's nothing but divisiveness. We're in a situation where we, as Black people around the world, need each other. So bickering over who started hip hop, even though those things need to be said, I get that. Black people, okay, yeah, okay. People say something, we say something back, whatever. But this idea that other people are out to get us, or out to get what's ours in America, is really stupid. They understand the tremendous Black Americans also has an immigrant culture. Prince Hall Masons, the founding of Louisiana, and the Haitians, and founding of Chicago. Many African explorers from the Caribbean and Africa that came to. I think E.J. Roy's family from Liberia was rumored to be Nigerian immigrants in the 1800s. So we have a whole Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, Calvin Lockhart, some of our top leading men, and that assimilated and defined Black culture. So where is this coming from, that we got to somehow be divided all of a sudden? It's just really, really disheartening when you really think about it.
That's a good question. Where is it coming from?
Can I ask a question?
Go, yeah, let me pass it to Black Beauty first. Go ahead, Black Beauty. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm just listening at the moment. I have to catch up with your convo, so just keep going.
Somebody was talking about they had interactions with Africans, and they said they watch Americans on TV, and those negative images and all of that stuff. I just want to know, how old are those people? Are they young or old? Because when I was growing up, what was on TV was Chinese movies and Indian movies. Now, I'm coming from Ghana, so I don't know about the rest of the continent, right? The only time you saw any Black Americans was music. Whitney Houston, Naughty by Nature. No, I never saw anything negative concerning Black Americans whatsoever. So
Well,
every time
thank you.
I come
Thank you,
online
Rita.
and I hear Africans saying was these negative things. Like, I don't like it. I just think they're just full of shit talking shit. I don't know why.
I believe so
Because
too. I believe so too.
because
I
I
believe a
never
lot of
saw
stuff
that.
is Africans that come over here. And let me just say this, right? I'm gonna let you guys have it, right? I'll let you guys have it. I think there's a lot of like I said, I've learned that a lot of Africans that resent the fact that it seems like Black America dominant. We didn't ask for this, right? If it was up to me, I would say I would cut down Black representation in the media for like 80%. You know, I would. You know, I would get rid of all these rappers. I would get rid of all these entertainers. I would get rid of the BET Award show. I would get rid of the Grammys. I would literally get rid of all this.
What?
I would get rid of all this. I'm dead serious, you
The
know?
Grammys.
Yeah, the
What?
Grammy. You see the satanic stuff.
Huh?
Huh?
You know that Burner just got his Grammy too. How you gonna get rid of the Grammys after Burner and Wiz just got their Grammys?
Yeah, that's it. What strengthening the Grammys is legitimizing it. The Grammys had a satanic thing. You see that, right? The guy
Oh, I
basically
see.
had sex on stage as a devil at the Grammys. You know, and I don't agree. We don't agree with all this nonsense and everything like that. You know, that's why I said we used to have our own award shows and stuff like that. That we like that. You know, so who made us like the Grammys? The Grammy, you're nothing unless you go for the Oscars or Grammys. We used to have our own award shows and everything like that. We kept it among ourselves. You know, so I don't really care
Well,
about.
yes, I agree with you, Kala, but I'm going to be honest and tell you that the Source Awards were never better than the Grammys. Let's be real. Let's
Let
be
me say something. Let me
real.
say something about the Source Awards. The only reason why the Source Awards is bad because you can't tell somebody like Suge Knight you're not invited. You know, you can't say Suge. I don't care. You can't say bad boy and everything. You know something. You guys are all right, but this is not for you. You know, it's like we're intimidated by the worst elements in our culture. You know, and we let these people take over. I remember Hal Jackson's. I think it was they had the Black Beauty pageant thing a couple of years, a beauty pageant thing. Hal Jackson's. Anyway, Eddie Griffin got up there, and the guy, the founder of Black Enterprise magazine, Earl Graves, right, snatched the mic out of his hand because he was saying some foul stuff. He was saying, no, that's not who we are. And right live on television, snatched the mic out of his hand and told him to get off stage. You know, we don't have those sort of Black men no more. Say, look, this is our culture, this is who we are, and this is how we want to represent. You know, so we don't have that anymore. So people get misconstrued when they see a lot of Black culture is not what we're trying to produce. It's just something that's commercialized and everything. So when people say, well, I don't like Black American culture, well, look, what kind of Black American culture? Because if you're fair, you understand that Black people have a lot of beautiful culture, right? But you know what gets put out there, you know, is most of the negativity. You know, you can't blame
But that's
Black
that's
America.
all entertainment. It's not culture. It's entertainment.
Right?
Right. But
Exactly.
I only brought all of that up just to say I'm not sure why Africans are saying they were watching Black Americans on TV doing and seeing all these negative things. I don't know where that came from. But I do remember it was Chinese and Indians when I was growing up. Okay. So I'm not sure where that came from. And you guys need to kind of question that. And then anyone in Africa right now, ask them, have they seen any Black American shows or images on the African TV? You don't see it. So
Okay, so
again,
I'm
you
talking
guys have
about
to
the
question them
70s.
and say, where are you guys getting all this information from?
So when I'm saying this, I'm talking about the 70s and maybe even part of the 80s. But I'm a
The
kid.
Africans in the 80s were saying they were watching Black Americans in Africa in the 80s.
When I was first meeting Africans and having conversations in the early 80s, mid 80s, the conversations was talking to people my age, they were in their 20s. And so if they were in their 20s, then
What year is this,
probably,
please, if you don't mind me asking?
say again,
What year are you talking about?
I'm talking about like 81, 82, 83, when I first started interacting with international, kind of crowds, young person in college, on a college campus.
I'm just trying to say, check people that say all these things. Because look, if you go back in the 80s, trust me, 95 to more percentage of the African people didn't have no TVs watching TV.
Right. But the
You know what
ones
I'm
that
saying?
were making it to the United States may have been the ones that were more privileged and did have TVs or had access to TVs. Because I'm a college kid and I'm interacting with other college kids.
So
I
then,
kind of
so you're talking about a few percentage. These are elite people you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaw,
Absolutely.
do you think that it's because I think I understand what you're saying, but do you think that it's maybe a little bit of an indoctrination that people get when they come to America?
I'm starting to think that.
Yeah, they come to America and they're being told, don't associate with those Black Americans. That's an indoctrination that Asian people get, Indian people get, Nigerian people get. It doesn't happen in their country, though. I was just in Nigeria. They love Black American people.
Well, I mean, we're talking about like 40 plus years ago. So
yeah, but 40 plus years ago, they were doing it like he said, they were building banks 40 plus years ago.
Right, but
they
they're
were
also
doing
watching
things. They weren't
news.
watching.
They were watching the news, and they were watching Good Times, and they were watching.
Were they?
A lot of the Norman Lear shows. They were watching Soul Train.
No, even right now, how many channels without the satellites and all of that does Nigerians, Ghanaians, or Kenya have? The local stations, they don't have those things.
It's very hard for me to get Black American stuff when I'm in Niger. I have to like really have the up plan. You know what I'm saying? From MTN, yeah. I have to have the real good plan to get like BET and shit. So I don't really see much of those shows. You might see like Will Smith. Like you know what I did catch? They were running the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the new episodes on one channel, like a Paramount channel maybe. But wasn't seeing that much Black American content when I was in Africa just now. So I'm not sure. I happen to agree with you.
There's no internet. There's no connection. Where were they watching those things? Because all these technology things is new to Africa.
But
I think it's an indoctrination that comes when they get here.
Lagos in the 70s, right? Is not the Lagos of the, today. I mean, in Lagos of the 60s, Lagos was in a very different condition in the 60s than it is today. Like I see pictures of Lagos in the 50s and the 60s.
I can't speak to that and I can't reach back. But what I'm saying is like, from what I get from like the people that I know that were raised there, they don't have any bad, honestly, they don't. The ones that live there, that are raised there, that really haven't been here, they look up to us. No lie. I haven't really.
No, I've been there and I agree with you. And I realize that, I agree with you. But why is it that you hear these conversations? And I think it is selective that we heard these things about. We heard that you guys did a lot of drugs. You sold drugs and that you had a lot of problems with this and that.
Let me say, let me get in here. Let me say this. I talked to this one guy, and I kind of shut him down on the internet. I say, this guy is in his almost 40, right? But my parents told me, look, bottom line is this: you're a grown ass man, right? My parents told me a lot of stuff when I found out, okay, good or bad. When I had to find out for myself. How is it that you could be a 40? You be like dudes in that 40, women 40, 50, talking about my parents told me to stay away from Black Americans. I mean, dude, how can you generalize the whole people? And also, maybe your family's ignorant. Maybe your family's ignorant.
Can I touch on that? Hold on.
Yeah.
See, for example, let me just use myself, right? So when I got here, I'm in Canada right now, right? So my parents, they're afraid of white people. They don't want no trouble with them. They don't want no business with them. They stay in their little corner. They don't want you going outside and causing no trouble and bringing any trouble home. You understand? So when you go outside, stay out of trouble. And they point out whoever's causing the trouble. We know these people cause trouble. You stay away from those people. Don't bring no trouble home. It's not that they're ignorant. They don't want no trouble. It's whoever causes trouble, stay away from it. They're just being parents. They really don't care about people like that. They're just saying, don't bring no trouble home. When you get out there, stay out of trouble. Don't bring no trouble home.
And unfortunately, with Black America is, like I said, we go through the same thing. We tell, well, my parents told me, don't stay away from that crowd, stay away from that crowd.
Exactly.
But it's the same thing. Every parent tells them, stay away, son, or where you going? Don't go out that crowd. He's a loser or whatever like that. That goes on every place. But what happens is, I think this is what I'm gonna say this on this show. Oh, we can have a new narrative, right? There are a lot more white people doing more dangerous stuff than there are black people. When I grew up in upstate, we moved from the city to upstate New York, right? My white friends were so friggin' decadent and so hedonist, right? We used to bring them to the city to show them what civilization was about, take them to church and all like this. Their parents were bikers and all.
I wasn't even allowed to bring them home. Stay away from those people over there.
Yeah.
Anybody that cause trouble, stay away from them.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
drugs.
just them being parents.
And
it's not that they didn't like this group or anybody like that. They went to work, they associated and interact with whoever was at workplace. But after that, we came home, and when you get out there, you go to school. You're in school with everybody.
Parents, you gotta say something. My parents were evangelical Christians. So their whole thing about saving souls and everything like that. And when we moved up to New York, they were like, man, these white people are just so friggin' decadent. We gotta teach them the word of God. That's how it was. But
my parents said, stay away from them, stay away from anybody that bring you trouble and all that drama. It didn't matter who you were.
Here's the opposite. The opposite is that what did African Americans? I'll say what did African Americans know about Bloods from the continent or the Caribbean? I'll speak on the continent. What was our thoughts of what was our knowledge? Just kind of from watching the media and not having studied or really been exposed to correct history. So there was a lot of things that we thought about Africa that were misnomers. They were just not true. And
that was just because of the education, right? It's whoever was.
But where did we get that information?
Let me ask you a question.
How
many of you
where did we get that information from? We got it from the media.
How many of
it's not the media.
Well, let me do this. Let me pass it to Larry because Larry's calling from the UK. Go ahead, Larry.
Well, just one.
Let me pass it to Larry. Go ahead, Larry.
Right. Thanks, Dynast. I came on because I was hearing someone talking about Africans in the 80s and how they supposedly lived and what they watched. And I thought I'd come on because I grew up in Nigeria in the 1980s and the early 90s. And some of the stuff I was hearing, like we didn't have TV, only rich people had TV. I thought that was interesting because growing up, you had rich people who had TV, but working class people had TVs as well. And the images we saw of Black Americans were positive images. I remember when I was a kid, my biggest hero was Eddie Murphy because we saw Beverly Hills Cop and we saw, what was the other one? Trading Places. The images we saw of Americans was of Black excellence. Black Americans was Black excellence.
The majority of Nigerians?
In the school I went, the people I saw, that's what we saw. We saw Michael Jackson. I'm talking. You had your say. Thanks. As I was saying, what we saw was Black American excellence. We saw the likes of Lionel Richie, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye. We copied them. We tried to dance like them, tried to sing like them. We saw movies, Eddie Murphy, he was a star. That's what I saw my group, what we grew up with. When I grew up in poor neighborhoods, my family worked hard, became successful. So I lived in poor parts of Lagos. And then I ended up living in other parts of Lagos that were good. Yes, I grew up under military dictatorships, but as I said, I have fond memories of the life that my parents gave my brothers and I. So all this stuff that I'm hearing, I don't know.
Can I ask you where you grew up in Lagos? Like
sure.
What areas?
I grew up in different parts. Have you heard of Ijesha?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I grew up in Ijesha, then I grew up in Surulere. Have you heard
I know Surulere. I know
Surulere. I grew up in Ebutemeta. And then finally, I grew up in Ikoyi.
I know Ikoyi and Surulere. Yeah. Okay.
So those were the three areas that I grew up in. In Ikoyi, that was where the Nigerian military supreme headquarters was. So every day we heard sirens and we'd see the motorcade of armored vehicles with soldiers going past. So it was a nice area. It was a lot different from Ijesha and Surulere. So I experienced the whole thing. So when we moved to Ikoyi, the thing that popped up in my head was, again, Black American Excellence, that TV show that we used to see in Nigeria called The Jeffersons. We're moving on up. And that's what I thought when my mom became successful in her job and she moved to Ikoyi. Yeah, we were moving out of what you call the ghetto, if you want to call it that, to a better area. But I don't understand all this stuff. Yeah, we had TVs. Working class people had TVs. Rich people had TVs.
Exactly.
All the images we
And Larry,
saw of America was.
did you read Ebony magazine? I heard. But I
No,
remember.
I didn't read Ebony till the early 90s when I came to England. Then I had access
You
to
know
it.
what was profound upon me? Was back in it was like 1986. So it was my year I graduated high school. You know, I picked up an Ebony magazine, right? And you know how the Ebony magazine is famous for its comment and letters to the editor comment section, right?
Yeah.
And there was a
Yeah.
Nigerian young man who wrote in saying, "Thank you for I was laughing, but he said, "Thank you for Ebony magazine." He said, "Without this, I was always ashamed to be black, but I
Yeah.
see black." You know what I'm saying? And I said, "Wow, man, that's like, how's a magazine?" You know, he said they had a Nigeria. I think they had a. I don't know if they had a Nigerian edition. They might have had a Nigerian edition, you know. But I know South Africa had Ebony had a South African edition, you know. And they were like, "I was always ashamed to be black, and I see all these black people are beautiful around the world, and we're like that." And they'll say,
Because
magazine.
Carla, I can't talk for every single Nigerian. I can only talk of that generation that I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, we're the same age.
And what we honored was Black American excellence. It was never viewed as Black Americans were dumbos. I don't know what the kids in the mid 90s and the late 90s
and
were
also,
doing.
bro, let me just tell you, Lurie, it's the white people. White people are doing this behind this division. And let me tell you, do you know Ebony magazine in 1990 had two full articles on Nigeria? You know, I never forget that. That was like the biggest thing back in 1990, early 1990. They had a full magazine spread in Lagos, Nigeria. You know, and then they had.
Is that it?
What?
Is that it that he's holding up?
I don't know. This is 1990.
I can't see.
You would see
What's that one?
On the cover, they had the Lagos skyline of Lagos. When Lagos, Africa's new giant. So Africa's new giant. Every black person in America in 1990 was excited about this country called Nigeria.
That's amazing.
You know, and so
Yeah,
that was 1990.
I mean, it's good to hear from what you're saying, Carl. And I just wanted to change the narrative because I keep on hearing these Africans hated them. A lot of us, we as teenagers, I mean, I used to have a high top fade. I used to try and do New Jack Swing because they were showing that in Nigeria. Everybody was trying to copy the Black Americans. Everybody saw the Black Americans as cool. In the 80s, some kids were having Jerry curls to try and look like Michael Jackson. Everybody was just looking at Black Americans as like Eddie Murphy. To me was like, whoa, are all Black Americans like Eddie Murphy? That it was always good things. It was never bad things. I don't know. Maybe in the late 90s,
and the social media.
I don't know.
You guys kind of missed my point. What I was saying was that there was a kind of interest and getting to know. And as we were talking and getting to know, there were things that were being said on both sides. And these are not just my own personal experience, but stories that other my peers, Black Americans, was saying that, oh yeah, I had heard that they didn't like us, and then I found out that they were hearing the same thing, that not even that they didn't like us, but that there were these things that were happening and going on, and that the people thought maybe a certain way, not necessarily just zeroing on that they didn't like us, right? And so this is the generation just before my brother who's talking, right? Because we're talking the 70s. The people that were in the 80s grew up in the 70s in American in Nigeria. But one of the things I can tell you that to balance the conversation is that my generation before me that is now in their late 60s, early 70s, talked about Festac and had gone to Nigeria and Ghana, and they were heavy Pan-Africanists. And this whole story about Festac really fascinated me because I'm an artist, right?
Festac is the largest gathering of African Americans outside the continent, in history.
African Americans.
Ali Foreman fight.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but I do know that white folks were really not that they weren't invited, but they weren't able to participate because it wasn't for them. They weren't part of it, and that was very interesting. And I also found out it took an act of Congress for groups of African Americans for the delegation to leave the United States. They got support from the United States that flew them. In fact, my friend flew on a plane with Louis Farrakhan to Nigeria for Festac. So it was an amazing event.
And also remember something, Shah. There was a lot of people that were already on the continent that were coming from Kinshasa, A lot of black people from America that was in Kinshasa who thing, and there was a lot of people from Liberia who went there and stuff like that, and other Ghana that made it way to Fest Night. They said African Americans were the largest group outside that's non-Nigerian. You know, they said people
I
that was
didn't know that.
striking. Though, yeah, they said
Wow.
you add up all the people attending Festac, the black people from America were the largest group. That's CIA record. They said, wait a minute, something's going on here. You know, that's why this tension between Black America and Nigeria, it's not something that, you know, like this. That's why I said we got to be the adults in the room, you know?
Right. They don't, and
The
these
adults in
young
the
people
room.
don't even know what they never heard of Festac. The
Yeah.
young people now never here in this country, they don't
I'll
even know
be
what
honest
that
with
is.
you. I never heard of Festac. I was born in '86. I'm not super young. I'm
Okay, yes. Before
37,
your
but I
time.
never heard of Festac.
Before
Okay,
your
well,
time.
it was
I
world,
couldn't go to Festac. I was only 1 year old, so
right.
I
So
couldn't
what
have done
Festac
much.
was a international
Stevie
event
Wonder was there.
that
Okay.
invited Africans from every country in Africa. Their culture was represented, and they represented their culture through the arts, through the music and dance, and there was a whole village, like an Olympic-sized village, that was built to host this event, and it included the diaspora. So you had contingents from the Caribbean, from Brazil, from the United States, and we
But
just
we were the largest.
converged.
We were the largest. Let's
And
keep
that's
it real.
amazing to know that.
Black America
Wow.
was the largest, man. We were the
And
largest.
and I
Wow.
Festac.
They
there's
need to
video
bring that
of us
back.
entering. Wait, listen. There's a video of the African American contingent entering a stadium, like you know how Olympics is done.
The scope. It's
They
like
had
the
all of
Nigerian
these ethnic groups
theater.
coming
That was a
into the
Nigerian
stadium and
Nigerian
going around
theater.
the stadium, and the stadium was full of people, just completely packed. It was
Wow.
amazing, you guys. And this is what I'm saying. We need to do more of that kind of thing to bring Africa together for this unity that we want and this new Africa that we want. We need to celebrate ourselves. So,
That's a fact.
You know, when I think it all changed, and Dynast, you might, and Carla might know this. When I was a kid, a teenager in the 90s, actually was in Nigeria, I saw a movie called Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill. Yeah.
And I was really enjoying. And then I noticed there was a scene where Wesley Snipes and the other actor, whose name I've forgotten, they were doing a business deal with two Nigerian gangsters. And then I began to understand the language the Nigerian gangsters were saying. I said, hey, that's Yoruba. I understand that. And then one of the Black Americans said, yeah. And then they fought. And I was scratching my head throughout. I said,
that scene was completely unnecessary.
Yeah,
and I protested back then. That movie came out in 94, right?
Yeah.
93, 94. And we was watching that, and I said, and that was when I was really amped up Pan-Africanist. You know, that was my strongest Pan-African years back in the early 90s when I'm in my 20s one night. And I saw that scene, movie, whatnot, you know, that movie never set right with me then. I said, what was necessary about that? You know, no context, no nothing. Just call him a cotton picker. That's to tell you what, there's a hidden hand trying to divide us over stupid stuff, you know, but I'm smart enough not to get in my feelings. I'm never going to turn my back on my Nigerian brothers, no matter how ignorant some of them are or whatever like that, you know, like that. I know what's behind all this, you know? Yeah. And like I said, that movie, I know when I watched it, also, there's a TV show that was out, I don't know if it's not, called My Nigerian Wife, whatever like that. And they have this big Nigerian woman going off on Black America and whatnot. She's married to a white man or whatever like that. The white people love playing Black people and Nigerians and against each other, you know, create this hatred. And this hatred is growing. And we have to stop it. It has to be shows like this. That's why I come on shows like this when this topic is raised, because we have to stop this stuff, right? Because we can't talk Pan-Africanism and we have this these stupid things that are freaking completely unnecessary. We're all sub-Saharan Africans. That means we all took the biggest L in history. That was a transatlantic slave trade. We all got a big white foot up our ass right now, you know, that we need to freaking surgically remove, you know? So there's no time to be freaking talk about who's one up on each other. None of us have shit, you know, and we ain't gonna be shit until we all come together and put our differences aside and whatnot. At least respect each other on thing. I wish the best for Nigeria. I hope they wish the best for us, and we can build on that from there.
But you have to pay attention to the argument too, and it's not valid, and it's steeped in two things. One is ignorance, the other is pain, hurt about history. And really what it is, that thing that keeps coming up lately for the last year that I've been in Twitter spaces is, well, they're responsible for us being enslaved. They were culpable and complicit in us being enslaved. And so there's this pain. And for me, that is a healing that needs to be, that's ancestral healing that needs to be done
Well,
for
let me say,
our
Sean, let me
people
say
need
this,
to go
right?
through that.
And I hear that argument, right? I hear that argument all the time, right? But when you really look at the situation, right? Um, if you look at let's take it back to the year 1590, the fall of Songhai Empire in West Africa, right? The big vast trading network was the largest trading system in the world, collapsed, right? Europeans were just trying to explore the world. They could barely reach to the New World around the Cape of Good Hope and everything like that. European countries didn't know where they were struck by religious violence and everything like that, right? Suddenly, the cities that engage in the transatlantic slave trade and all stuff like this began to grow. Liverpool, Lisbon, Madrid, Amsterdam. All these were disease, backwater places because of the transatlantic slave trade with opium, rum, molasses, everything like that. The Dutch became the masters of trade, global trade and finance. Right now, hear me out. Now look at 400 years later, right? Who benefited from the slave trade and who got the worst of it? African humanity was lost during the transatlantic slave trade, right? So Africans lost their humanity, and African Americans, African diasporas lost their humanity, right? The African basically was once seen as noble and great. Suddenly, his skin color was a badge of inferiority, which even in the New World, that's why you think you got black people trying to say they were not Africans. Why do you think black people saying, no, I'm Native American? That's pain, because that black skin is a symbol of hate and a symbol of degradation. So you don't want to be a part of it. They taught the Native American to despise the black skin, black skin. And we have never redeemed ourselves from that scourge of slavery, And so therefore, like I said, the
But
only thing about is that the African is that he doesn't really deal with white people on a daily basis. So he could delude himself into thinking that, oh, I'm a little different. But when they step outside of Africa and they come to America, or you see what happened to them in Ukraine, right? Where you had a guy, made a Nigerian guy, throw him a banana and told him to make monkey sounds. When they said, "Oh, so humiliated." What were you
Right.
expecting?
So, but Kyla, I think that one of the problems, and I think Professor Obitashaka talks about in his book, he calls it generation gap. What is it called? Generation trap, something generation gap. Anyway, it's about the choice between two cultures, one culture being the white American culture or the mainstream of culture, and our culture, right? The choice between two cultures. But the generation gap part is the part where you have Black folks coming out of the 20s, 30s, 40s, and then 50s, and then what the way that we were then, it did not speak to us being degraded or being in a inferior position. We were less that then, even in Jim Crow, and having come out of slavery, we were more intact as a people coming out of slavery. And that's why you could see, Rosewood and Tulsa, Oklahoma, and these other different places, many different places before they were terrorized by white folks. So the terrorism and the, stopping us from progressing, right? So as time went on, we sort of lost that ability to build. We were thwarted in our efforts by terrorism and by redlining and all the other things, closing the jobs in the inner cities and sending them overseas. All these things were done to undo us, and then just some of it was for just profit. And in the process of all of this happening, that we lost that connection between those people and these young people today. There's this gap. The crack
Exactly.
era helped to create the gap. All of these things I mentioned helped to create the gap. And another thing we identified in Black Studies was the more educated we became, the less productive and independent we were. We were we had more degreed people, more educated people, and we were worse off as that continued because we had less institutions in our community. We had less businesses in our community. The more we were educated, because we would get educated and go work for, a company, and then didn't want to take over the mom and pop store. So these are all things that lead to now the younger people saying, you know, we don't even like you Pan-Africanists because look at the condition that we're in now. You did what you didn't do anything. Pan-Africanism didn't do anything, and as far as we're concerned, it's a hot mess and it's dead. So and the reason why is because of the condition that they're in now, but not having the knowledge of understanding how they got to this condition.
Exactly. And like I said, that's why I don't beat people up if they're not being a Pan-Africanist. I don't go Hulk Hogan body slam nobody anymore because you're in the hell. Oh, you're not a Pan-Africanist? Throw you know, and beat them down and whatnot. You know, I can't do that no more. You know, because we have to. The Pan-African world got to show and prove. You know, you can't keep talking.
Hey, do the sound effects again, Kala?
Well, boom. You know.
Can I ask you guys questions about Pan-Africans?
Yeah.
Are there more Pan-Africans in Africa or in the diaspora?
Let me answer this. In the diaspora, the why? Because Pan-Africanism has never had a reality check, you know?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, listen to me carefully. This is a jewel from the College Genesis, okay? It's easy to talk Pan-Africanism, right? When you're not responsible for feeding people, when you don't have a hungry population, where you don't have terrorists on your border, where you don't have the IMF breathing down your neck and stuff like that. You know, all this stuff like this, all this Umar Johnson. Yeah, we black people, they're black in the black. But when you basically got to have budgetary restraints, you have diplomatic obligations.
Hey, Kala, say it again. Say it again.
Black, you know. So when somebody's black, but they think they're gonna run a country and they're gonna be black to the black power, black to the future, black to the black power. But reality, right, is people are calling President Adu a coon and a jungle, all his names right now. But you don't know what that man going through. He got a budget that he's trying to get through Ghana and Ghanaian inflation.
Hey, Kala, you're starting to crackle. Like, dang, everybody's crackling. Hold on. Let me. Hello. Okay, ask Kala. Yeah, Kala, you're starting to crackle. You know, I think your Obama phone is starting to act a little bit, Kala.
Dynast, you and Kala could be used as a good example. When you've been going back to Nigeria and they hear your accent when you're in Oshun, do they turn on you? Do they come at you with hatred or anger? Or
No.
But the funny thing is, even though I know you've had a great experience there, it doesn't matter how much you talk about it.
I'm not gonna say, you know, and like I tell people, you know, I made this post yesterday. If Africa was so bad, my first trip would have been my last. And then I said, I'm not saying it's perfect, and I've had my issues, but I've had way more wins than L's. So, you know, yeah, have I been overcharged? And, you know, yeah, of course. You know, but like I said, my overall experience has been great, or I wouldn't go back and forth like I've been doing.
I'm trying to get with this Pan-African stuff, and I don't know where it ended. What the hell?
So what's the name of the room again? Because we're talking around it, and I feel like we haven't zeroed in enough on it, and I can't seem to get the title of the name of the room.
It's do black immigrants have as much claim to America as ADOS or FBA?
What's the claim?
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
To be able to be here and do what they want to do, whatever they want to do.
That's it?
That's what I think. That's what my common sense would say.
Isn't that the American dream?
I'm trying to think. Maybe it has to do with reparations.
Not necessarily.
Because you got to be clear, because anybody can go to America if they qualify.
Exactly.
Right. So the problem, okay, so here's the argument. The argument is that we have an immigrant problem, and we have an African.
When you say you mean
say problem.
I should say the United States. So there's an immigrant problem in the United States. I really don't consider myself as part of the we, because we don't control the money or the politics or the economics.
Exactly.
So
gotcha.
yeah, but the immigrant problem has really been exacerbated lately. It is becoming like, what are they doing? Because they control that. So why are they doing that? We have to ask the question. The people that
Something is
control the
coming. That's why
borders.
they're allowing them to come.
Right.
They don't just do things just because.
But listen to the argument though. African Americans feel like that it is an attack against them because it does things. It first of all, it lessens our population so that we don't have a vote. It also it's our identity is able to be assimilated by other people who look like us, which is our family. You know, I consider Africans and Caribbeans part of our family. They don't consider that. They consider, not all, but quite a few. It seems like it's really real, because I'm thinking it's only in social media conversation, because when I talk to people in the streets, they're not talking about this kind of stuff.
Then
But
I
it's
would
starting
say,
to spread into the streets. That's
I
probably.
would say in response to what you're saying, then Black Americans would need to vote for politicians who would implement tougher immigration. So vote Republican. Sorry, what was that, Dynast?
And they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
you
that's
guys
it.
are in support
And
of
even if
keeping
we did, we
Africans out?
only have a. Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand. Are you saying they should put laws in place that prevents Africans from entering America?
No. What I'm saying is
No,
this.
Larry, that's what I thought.
No, what I'm saying is, if he's saying that Black Americans feel that the current immigration policies in America are not benefiting them, then they need to stop voting Democrats and vote for politicians who will implement immigration policies that will help them. Then they won't have to
Larry,
worry.
has a problem with Black America. As much as you guys like to admire Black America and think we're all this one, when it comes to politics, right? And I've been studying African politics for years and everything like that. We can't hold a candle to you guys. You guys actually take your politics seriously. Why? Because who you get elected determines who eats and who starves. It's not like that in America. Black people go out there. You know what they talk about when they come around? Hey, what's that Pocahontas character? Dynast? What's that Pocahontas? Elizabeth Warren, right?
Yeah.
Is it Netflix and chill, or do you go out to thing? This is political discourse. Another thing is, who's speaking for you? Young Jeezy, Cardi B. You know, black people in America cannot be taken seriously politically, right? We don't take to because you know what it is. Black America is a victim of its own success, right? When at the time when Black people had nothing, they knew that vote counted, so we were sharp. We were sharp back in the days. But now it's like, oh, so what? My trash gets picked up, my electricity's on. I don't have to worry about running water and whatnot. I got a job. I'm going to the movies this weekend. They're not. It's now the immigrants. They're coming over. The Black immigrants coming over here, and I'm watching them. Right, they engaging their local politicians. Right, Black Americans.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily align with us.
Yeah, but this is
per
what I'm saying. Shah, this is what I'm going to say. This now, and my African American brothers and sisters, I love you. We're not, but the Africans that coming over here, they're coming here to win. You know, they don't give a damn no more. Now, me, I just have to be lucky because I'm with the Liberians and everything, and they include me into their politics, right? But these guys are coming over here and do
education and build their economics up,
and they're looking for the future. And we want to be part of that. Then we got to stop being serious. Anytime you have Roland Martin, I mean, nothing against Roland Martin, right? And nothing against any of these guys, right? But come on, come on. I mean, look at who we have represented politics, and look what they talk about. Oh, the orange man bad, Democrats good. Like, Diane, you're gonna love this one, right? It's like you got to get your sound effects right, right?
Go ahead.
It's like a sheep, right? Orange man bad, Democrats good. That's all you need to know. Orange man bad, Democrat good. Get your sheep on. Orange man bad, Democrat good. That's as far as Black people know. That's all you need to know. So how is that going to carry you? While these Black immigrants, a lot of them, most of them don't like Trump, whatever like that. But the bottom line is, whoever they like, they carrying the bag back to the continent, and they're helping their homelands fix up, and we're not part of that. Instead, because we don't want to get involved in what's going on a global scale.
So what about the argument that Bloods is coming from the continent or wherever, and they don't want to ally with us. They don't want to fraternize with us. They just want to come over here and use the
But you got to
company
understand,
and put
shot,
and our
shot.
benefits in our name. Now, I don't agree with none of
But
that
my whole,
bullshit,
look,
but I'm
look,
just telling you what the argument is. So
I
the other
look,
argument,
I
wait,
agree
listen.
with that.
Allow
Everybody,
them.
but Kyla, everybody doesn't know what the argument is. So the other part of the argument that's a huge part is the identity. So African Americans want to delineate from other bloods all over the world, because by delineating, we can do stuff like, get our reparations.
Oh,
That
see,
would
that's
be
another thing,
blah,
man.
blah. So that's a big one, though, that you got to acknowledge
Let me
that.
say this, bro.
But as well, other benefits that,
Yeah,
whatever it is. I don't even know.
I
let me
agree
say
with
this.
Shop.
Shot, let me say, Royal, let me get in here, right?
This pisses
Now,
me off.
2018, right? I got introduced to a young, dynamic guy who put me on the scene. As you guess, his name is Dynast Amir. 2018, I first debuted on Dynast Amir's show, right? That same year, what movie was popular, Dynast?
Black Panther.
Black Panther. Dynast knows the story, right? Now, before that, right, nobody was talking about delineation, nothing like that, right? And then when we had the super Pan-African movie, right? Everybody like this, right? Suddenly people like Yvette Carnell's like this. And then suddenly they resurrect the so-called reparations thing, right? And let me say this, and people don't understand what I'm saying. Look, reparations as far as black people, you cannot say I'm an American, wave the American flag, and all this, and just say reparations. Reparations is an act of war. As saying that, okay, I renounce my U.S. citizenship. I'm in a home country over here. This country's going to give us refuge and everything. United States are going to pay for it. Then you have to engage it in the international courts and everything like that, and see how you maneuver. Black people don't want to do that. Black people don't want to move their so-called reparations grievance outside of the U.S. System. And so long as you stay inside of America, like Malcolm X said.
But you know why that is, Kala. You know why
they're
that
not
is.
serious.
No, not
That's
because
not
they're
the
not
argument.
serious. Because when we get outside of the listen, when we get outside of the U.S., we get on the continent. It's a little uncomfortable. Let's be honest, Carla.
Like what? Like
we
what?
can do. We can do it for 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months. Come back for a couple weeks, then go back for 3, 4, 5 months. Like we can do that, but we can't really fully commit to it in the state that it's in.
But
Yeah,
those are
why I
both
said,
other arguments, though. But the
Let's be
thing that you
honest.
guys got to
I was
remember, though,
there.
is that going to Africa is not the argument for these folks that are talking about delineation. They don't want to go to Africa. Most of them,
what is the end game?
the end game is that they want to get the check, and then that's as fucking far as it goes.
Okay, see, that right there.
Can you believe that? It's like, well, what's the plan if you don't get the check? Like, we should be having plan A. Should be we should be doing shit.
My thing is like I always say, look, if people want to listen to me, don't listen to me on that, I believe Black America, right, in the future, right. Look at Israel, right. The Jews will support the state of Israel. They have a global state which they can gain. Right now, let me ask you a shot, right? Do you think Black people in America should have a relationship with China?
Black people in America?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Okay, why not? Okay, hold that thought. Should we have a relationship with Japan?
Why not?
If it's beneficial, yeah.
I'm going with this, right? Do you understand that because we don't have a state, or at least one strong state on the continent, we don't even have municipalities built on the continent. We don't have no black banks on the continent. We have no interest on the African continent, right? Where we're outside the U.S. Confines, and everything. We cannot have any sort of engagement with any sort of other people. So in other words, it tells me that Black people say they want reparations, right? But the only relationship you want is to be tethered to white America forever. It can't be a thing.
East Palo Alto had a sister city, Nairobi. If I'm correct, Nairobi, Kenya was the sister city, was more honorary than anything. But it could have been more than that.
We have to step it up more.
It could have been more than that.
We got to step it up more. We don't
show
have
me,
zones.
Carla, show me a strong African currency, and then I can get behind what you're saying. Right now, that Naira is falling by the day.
Well, it don't have
so
to.
At the end of the day, where do we go? We take our money. We want to stay solvent, Carla. We can't leave here with our little bit of money because we don't have a lot.
I know that. That's why I say, why don't we have our own municipality? We talk about the African.
Why do you guys have to leave?
No, we want to play.
Some of us do.
Engage. the only way the black people in America are going to be on a global scale as we want to. Like we don't have to worry. Look, black immigrants are coming, right? So black America are first world people, right? Got to make a decision. And we're gonna sit here and just become, like I said, they coming here to absorb into us. The black African immigrants, the Mexicans, everything. It's gonna be just one big hodgepodge of people fighting over scraps. That's what's gonna happen in the future. Now, if you think you want to delineate right now, how are you gonna delineate and stay within the same system that is gonna destroy you? You know.
So what you're saying, Kala, is that we as Black Americans, we go to a place like Ghana and we set up our own bank that has a better currency that's stronger than their own.
Yes,
I don't even agree with.
So,
I don't agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
No, we'll get killed.
Banks, everything.
if your parents are from Nigeria and you were born in the United States, you would not be considered African American or Black American. If you were born in the United States, according to this group, these people, if you were born in the United States and your parents were from Africa or the Caribbean, you would not be considered.
Someone took my AA card because my dad is Jamaican a couple weeks ago. They were like, "You're a tether."
Yeah, the bottom line is
my dad is Jamaican. My mother's African American. You dumb.
African American.
Crazy.
It's a heritage and everything, but you got to remember something, Shah. African Americans are not just people who came on the cotton plantations. People came from the Caribbean here. Madam Queen of Harlem, Stephanie St. Clair. She was from the islands.
Barbadians created what Barbadian people that were taken from Barbados helped to create Bajans what helped to create Charlotte, Carolina, or somewhere they helped to create the city.
Charleston, South Carolina. So we always had
Haitians came to Louisiana in the 1800s.
Right. So the bottom line.
I mean, we've always
it's that we got.
We are one people, and we need to move as one people. That's it.
Yeah, but Africans don't care nothing about us. They don't even like us.
That's not true.
Right. Where are they getting that from? Where are they getting that from?
Social media.
They're getting it from you right now.
I'm putting it out there so we can be clear about what the conversation is. Because if we don't talk about what is being said, we're just going to be echoing in this chamber.
And let's be honest with ourselves, Shah. You got a lot. The biggest threat to us right now is not even that. It's these black people who are going around convincingly trying to convince black. You got black people out there that were pro-black Pan-Africans now convinced that they're Cherokee Indians.
See? But that goes back to identity.
Well, it goes back to the failure of our black leaders and our educators. How can you?
Well, I would disagree. I mean, Black Studies is clear. Like Black Studies clearly says this is who we are.
How did somebody like Dane Calloway got millions of people following?
Because he's on YouTube and people don't read. They just want to learn. They want to go to YouTube and think they can learn on YouTube.
Exactly. But the thing is, the fact that they're winning is a problem. Is a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real freaking problem. You got Dane Calloway and whatnot. You got people out there talking about, you got dudes that look like, let me stop.
You got Tariq Nasheed.
Say it, Colin. Say it.
I'll say you got dudes that look like Wesley Snipes talking about I'm a Comanche. Come on.
Oh wow.
I don't even argue anymore. I just scroll right past on TikTok. TikTok is the most toxic thing. They're great. If they said tomorrow that we're gonna ban TikTok and blow it up, I would be happy. Like Black Media, you said about the Grammys. I would take the TikTok first. If I could get rid of TikTok, if one day you guys gonna see me on a sabbatical and whatnot,
but you want to know something? I would say this. I was gonna say the same thing about TikTok a couple years back, but now all the good Niger dances are on TikTok.
Yeah, but
all the dances are on TikTok now.
I would rather sacrifice that.
If you like any good African music, all the dances is on there now. So I would
get rid of all, even the knowledge on TikTok, which is good stuff, or not, just to get rid of all that toxic stuff.
It's all about what you watch on TikTok. Your algorithm is off color.
No, I don't know.
Kala wants to cancel.
I watch nothing but dancers. I swear.
I get more.
There's a girl in my building in Lagos. There's a girl in my building in Lagos that her and one of her managers, they're always downstairs posting on her TikTok. She's always doing new dances and shit by the pool.
Well, I say that's nice. That's beautiful. But it also got a bunch of people talking about their the Native Americans and that we were Aboriginals, black
Oh
people,
no, because
Africans, all
TikTok
this.
was about people moving them body. I don't understand why people talk so much on TikTok. I'm so confused.
It's more TikTok is bigger than YouTube right now, if you ask me.
Oh
You know,
wow.
it's way bigger than YouTube. You know, it's like YouTube got to catch up. Because TikTok is more toxic and more used in anything. Any idiot with a phone can get up there and mess somebody's life up by just posting and commenting. You know.
But here's the other thing about the title of you guys is that as long as United States and Europe is raping and pillaging Africa, Africans should have a right to come here and get as much as they can because they are not able to build their own stuff up because they're being undermined.
Africa has no infrastructure, so they have to use the infrastructure that we help build in America. That's the way I see it. If the
Look,
United
I'd rather
States,
see
the
them
United
coming
States
than a
don't
bunch of
want to build
mestizos.
African infrastructure, don't want to build Africa. I mean, cut anybody off. If America is hell bent on keeping the status quo, African lacking infrastructure like first world infrastructure and like that. That's what it is. Africa, the official policy towards Africa hasn't changed since Kissinger's time, which Africa has to keep its population. That's the only responsibility you need to do is keep your population down. We give the Chinese could build cars and semiconductors and everything like that.
No, but Kala, what we're saying is let the Africans come. I'd rather see them than a bunch of Arawaks and mestizos coming back in here.
Oh, I agree.
Let them get this shit. Let them come and get this money. Why not?
I agree. I agree with that 100%. Let them come get the money. Why? Because
I love to see it.
Because the Europeans don't want to see Africa develop or whatnot. Say, hey, so Africans come over here,
get their money and let them develop their country with it. I have no problem with that.
Or stay out of the Congo and build a couple of plants that is going to make the batteries and whatever. Stay completely out of Congo. We will sell you. We will sell you the coltan or the cobalt or whatever the fuck it's called. Excuse my language. I didn't mean to say. We will just stay just that one. If you stay out of the one country, the Congo, all of y'all stay out of the Congo. That one place alone.
The one problem with that is, Shah, is this the fact that, and I was talking about this the other night. I said, look, the problem in Africa is that we don't produce anything. You know, it's foreign companies that are exporting. When Africa said we're not going to allow any more exports of raw materials. Well, let's say if it was a Dynasty Collar Incorporated mining corporation, right? And we're out there friggin' exporting cobalt and coltan and everything like that. And we had listings on the stock exchange. People are getting rich and everything. I wouldn't have no problem with that, right? The problem is not us, Dynasty and Collar doing it, right? As incorporated, which we have stocks and investments and firms and everything, and we have our own supply chains, and we're doing all the the producing, the logistics, everything. It's some Chinese company that's doing it and everything.
Right.
That's doing all the work in there. That's the problem in Africa. It's not the exporting raw materials.
So that's a good question. What is the African going to do about the Chinaman coming in and taking everything?
Well,
we even have that problem.
Africa have to replace that with African infrastructure, Black African infrastructure. That's why we create the.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the big pet peeve I have. It's one project that could have changed the whole game in Nigeria. One major project that would have set another industry up that would have been second to the oil industry. And listen to this. Between 1979 and today, over $9 billion was siphoned off of that project. The project was 98% finished. 98% finished by the Russians. It's Ajakuta Steel Company. So Ajakuta Steel Company was 98% finished in 1994. So my thing is this, is that we can blame, and they're rightfully right to blame, but it's some European hands underneath, behind the scenes doing shit. But when you get a project that close to finish, and it never goes online.
That seems to be a trend in Nigeria from what I watch on the news. It seems to be that everything that's set off is always brought to like the brink of completion. And I'm like, why the fuck does that keep happening?
Called White Elephant
sabotage. It's got
to be going around here. This shit is crazy. What are we going to do as African people? Forget all this division.
Let me say this.
What are we going to do?
The problem is this, right? When you really look at it, and I've been studying this for years, right? The problem is there's 5 elements of logistics of building something, right? It's an acronym. It's called EPCOM. It means engineering. That's the engineering, design, everything. Procurement, operations, procurement, construction, operations, and maintenance, right? All those 4 key elements of logistics, right, is how things are built on a large scale process, right? The procurement is the supply chain, right? Operations is the day-to-day operations, human resources, everything. Engineering is how things are designed, everything. Construction is the actual building of the project, right? Maintenance is the most important thing because that's the upkeep and everything. All those coincide with each other. With procurement, the maintenance will go to procurement, say we need these, that, and the other thing to maintain this, right? Or this is going to collapse. You know, safety, maintenance, everything all like the other. Somehow or another, right? In order for you to do a major project like that, you need your best minds, right? You can't be arguing over who's Igbo, who's Yoruba, and all stuff like that. Who's black? Even I would even go so far to say in Africa right now, they shouldn't even have any requirements for nationality when we're doing a major EPCOM thing. You should be people from all over the continent, just like the Asians do when they got these multinational people working on projects.
Let's take Kogi. Let's take this project, right? So the project is 98% finished. The Russians say in 1983, okay, Nigeria, you need to put your money up now. You got to pay 400 million. And then, you know, so they didn't put the money up. They didn't pay the 400 million. It was 92% finished. The Russians left, and allegedly they left with information that was valuable for them to keep the thing going, right? To
the
make
logistics,
it finished,
engineering.
right? But wait a minute. Watch this though. So him and Ha, they go through a coup happens with Shakiri or some name like that. Military coups is happening. All of these things are instability things happen. Now we fast forward to 94. They do some more stuff to make it 98% ready to go. Now, allegedly, what the problem is, or one of the challenges is getting the iron ore, the infrastructure to get the iron ore to the steel company. And there's some river ports that need to be done to move stuff, whatever, right? Those were things that needed to be done in 1983. And allegedly, those things were done or close to being done in 94. So they're raising money to do this shit. And then the money is poof.
Gone. The same thing happened
So
with the natural gas.
$9 billion went fucking poof.
Remember the natural gas. Remember the natural gas farce in
and
the
the
late
shit ain't
90s?
done.
Now, Abacha, people talk about Abacha. At least he did try to clean something. He got inflation in Nigeria from 85% down to 5%. You know, and he basically took some stringent measures to get rid of the IMF, the World Bank, and the structural adjustment programs. You know, I did like Abacha for that during the time period. You know,
guys need to understand
that girl Natasha Akpoti, she just made a senator in Kogi State. They tried to kill her last week. They said there was an attempt on her death, but she was the one that made a presentation in front of the assembly about a whole bunch of corruption and shit that happened at Ajakuta. So I think that she wants to really push that forward, and I think that because that job, if that goes off, that's going to provide 300,000 jobs.
Yeah, and also imagine West Africa has its own steel producing thing. They also imagine fabrication plants in the rest of Africa, steel fabrication and stuff like that. Who knows that if Nigeria compete on a global, but at least I would say we can get to the point where an African could provide at least 30% of Africa's steel use or not. You know, you would see this thing change. 30%. That's not too much to ask for.
The system that they're using. Okay, let's just use West Africa. The system that the West African is using is not their system. All the systems are tied into the European system. How our money and the currencies are fluctuating and all of that stuff, we have no control, no say at all. The system of governance, that's their system. If they don't approve of anything, they put sanctions on you. Everything they need to approve of it. That's the system we have.
Bingo.
So
sanctions.
Unless we as the people say we're going to get rid of all of this system and be ready to starve ourselves to move forward to the next stage.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's going to take war. It's going to take a global.
People will die.
That'd be a good show, Dynast, with Ibube.
My brother, me, I don't know. We always find it easy to just blame other people.
No, I'm not. We're not blaming nobody.
As Africans, other people's system. This it's nothing about no system. It's our people. Our people are greedy. Until we start accepting that and trying to fix that within ourselves,
Yeah.
we're
we're not fixing
short-sighted.
nothing. We're not fixing nothing because being a victim, you can't. Who said that recently? I think one of the African leaders said it recently that I think it's Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame said Africans have become a perpetual victim. Like we have not moved from being a victim to start doing things for ourselves. It's like we always find a reason to say somebody else did something. We have not. If you Google it, you will see it. His recent speech, Paul Kagame. He said we have not really moved from the point where we start doing things for ourselves. Like, okay, let us take advantage of what we have because we have a foundation. But the persons that lead us, they are just greedy. They really just siphon the money. That's
We have to hold ourselves accountable, but at the same time, when you have $700-800 billion a year exporting steel, and the only steel that you produce is scrap metal, you're recycling scrap metal as your biggest steel production in the country, and you're importing $800 billion in steel every year, and you got a steel plant that was 98% finished.
My brother, if you go to open a company in Africa, my brother, it's difficult. It's easy to say that when you're not within. When you go to some of my brothers that have been in Africa would attest to some of this. If you go to open a small business in Africa, let's say your business is worth let's say $100,000. By the time you get to complete certification to open that business, you might have spent $10,000 to $20,000 in bribes.
Bribes, boy.
So when you're talking about this first of all, for Nigeria, 9 billion between the years of 83 to that for Nigeria, that's changed.
Today, yeah.
That's not any big money for Nigeria. So let's say my country, Sierra Leone.
US, not Naira.
I actually mean US.
He was talking US, I thought. 100,000 US.
Oh,
no. When you say 9 billion, right? For Nigeria, you're talking about did you say from 93 or 83 to now?
Well, they started in 79 and they pretty much it was finished in 83 and then 94.
No. So you were talking about 9 billion, right? Trust me. 10 year in Nigeria, let's say even a year. Nigeria's economy, 9 billion, it's not that much. You're talking about 10 years, that's really not. It's not a significant money.
We're not talking about the GDP of the government. We're talking about a project that is.
No, but you said it's something that could have compared to the oil. So, but let's not even make that an argument. Let's just say in Africa, when you open a business, and I'm talking generally, I mean, there are countries with some exceptions now. There are a few countries that are changing that narrative. But genuinely, by the time you open a company in Africa, you might have spent 10 to 20% of your revenue, of your income that you come in with.
How stupid. Let me say this, and I'm going to be harsh with this, and this is tough love. How stupid is it for you to undermine your own country that it will be just useless when you got an industry that can bring all these jobs and boost up your GDP is going to produce $50 billion a year. The estimated production of that project would have been $50 billion a year, provided 300,000 jobs. How stupid are you to not allow that project to be completed? There's something else going on other than people becoming a million or billionaires. There's a lot of people that became millionaires, but there is something else going on. Is what I'm
you
saying.
see that Alaro City, hold on, but you see that Alaro City project in Epwe? That's definitely happening though. That Lebanese project where they're expanding that city out in Epwe, that's happening and that's moving forward. So I find it interesting that certain projects get stalled in Nigeria and others do not.
The pipeline's not getting stalled, is it? That gas pipeline?
I'm curious.
I mean, that gas pipeline would have been a good idea, but
It's
brother
happening.
and
They're
sister,
doing
hold
it.
on. Idris,
Hey,
Guys, let's do this. Let me pass it to America's First Rifleman, then we have to log out. Go ahead, America's First Rifleman, then we're gonna close out.
Shout out to I think it was Idris and Shah. I think that spoke to what I'm about to speak to. The age of excuse making is over. No, as the years come on, everybody in the international community is not gonna keep taking the same tired excuse that Royal Image put, like, oh, it's just not our system, it's the European system, and so it's kind of like not our fault, and so we kind of can't like nobody's effing with that rhetoric no more. Anytime you get in a group of black people, you always have that one person. And I'm not trying to attack this guy, but if you start with a premise of it's not our system and blah 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 blah, that person ain't serious. Okay, we need to cut. We need to actually, when we are interacting with each other, we need to cut whole parts of
That's a good fact.
lines of thought out completely. Don't even allow them. Not saying they can't speak, but when they start at that premise, just be like, no, you're not
Because it
serious.
really
Stop
holds
talking.
us back. It really holds us back. We actually
Yeah,
don't
it
even have
does.
time to talk about this shit anymore. We just gotta, like, I find that in the diaspora, if we're going to make this move, we just need to make this move already. We need to stop talking about what we're going to do and just. What I love about this channel is that people on this channel actually go to Africa and do business in Africa. That's what I love about the people over here. And we just need to keep doing that. I just met a bus driver, a Jamaican bus driver I just met today. Gave him my number because he's trying to go to Africa. I'm going to connect him to Dynast so he can come and take. He needs to come. The diaspora want to come home. And we need to make it possible.
Also, last thing I'm gonna say is you guys already spelled it out. If the elites in that country want a project or something to happen, it's going to go through. So at the end of the day, it's the people at the bottom have to hold their feet to the fire. Shah already said there's people from the inside, like a woman that was a governor, that's bringing information to the people that there's corruption. That's what you got to get behind. It's that simple. All this other stuff that you can't prove or some nefarious force is stopping you. No.
But I heard, you know what I heard?
Hold on. Stop. I'm there. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I heard that the people.
Hey guys, we're about to close out. We can always do a part 2, but we're gonna close out. Everyone, thank you so much for joining.
All right,
like,
brothers.
subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynast, Search for Peace.
Peace.